Hola, queridos colegas de la Comunidad Mundial de Servicios Geológicos. I am Daniel Lebel, Director General for the Geological Survey of Canada, and this is all the Spanish I will say. Thank you for inviting me. I'm very honored and welcome your invitation to address this assembly of the Ibero-American Association of Geological and Mineral Surveys about the World Community of Geological Surveys, or WCOGS, as we like to call it. I will also speak about geological mapping as an important mission for all geological surveys in the world, and the theme of your seminar today. Meetings such as this one to discuss areas of common interest between directors of geological surveys is a very good idea, but this has not occurred very often at the international level. In 1992, the Geological Survey of Canada convened an international conference of geological surveys and collected a book of proceedings from it. To our knowledge, that was the first ever such conference of directors of surveys. And at the time, directors discussed at length their role and organizational mandate, the emerging environmental issues, global change, the fast emerging field of computerized database and geoinformation management, as well as international cooperation and geological mapping. 25 years later, I had the pleasure with my colleagues in Canada to invite a new international seminar of directors of geological surveys in Vancouver, where some 80 people came. Out of this seminar, directors prepared some 20 papers that we edited into a volume at the Geological Society of London, and that was just published in 2020. This book is entitled The Changing Role of Geological Surveys. A numerical analysis of topics discussed shows that the same topic that predominated in the 1992 conference were the same preoccupation that we have nowadays in geological surveys, such as geological mapping. We saw that geological mapping actually climbed up in terms of ranking of interest by directors of surveys in close ranking with big data integration, as well as mineral and energy resource assessment. Interestingly, international cooperation was declining in relative word counts, and perhaps in actuality, but not from a lack of interest, perhaps a lack of means. Over the past 2 years, we have worked hard to build a community of practice among the world's geological surveys through the help and encouragement of many geological survey leaders, such as yourself. We realize that there are many meetings of geoscientists that have occurred around the world since the first International Geological Congress in Paris in 1878, and that there is an international union of geological science, as well as many other associations of geoscience worldwide. So why a new association of geological surveys? In 1992, the idea of an international consortium of geological surveys, referred as ICOGS, was first proposed. But the idea didn't take flight beyond a few seminars that occurred every 4 years or so, and a directory of geological surveys of the world that the Geological Survey of Japan has been maintaining ever since. By the way, they're inviting you to update your contacts for your organization. It's very handy for other surveys to contact you in the public in general. The idea got much attention again of forming an association of surveys from 2004 to 2008 or thereabout. But yet again, it lost momentum as geological surveys focus on supporting the new One Geology initiative. So here we are today, with an idea that we're nurturing, and that will require some help, commitment from geological survey organization of the world in order to fully take flight as a new community of geological surveys. With my co-author, Philip Hill, we wrote a paper detailing the past journey and taking some lessons that we can take from past failure and how we might go about doing this in a modern 21st century world with the use of technology, for instance, and the interest in sustainable growth of this as such an organization that would benefit all people. So in 2020, we gathered a few like-minded geological survey leaders to brainstorm whether there was interest in forming a world association. We considered what benefit it could bring, who would participate, what activities may take place, and we considered the mission statement. Vic Clapson, former director of the international program of the USGS, who sadly passed away last year, was instrumental in defining this mission statement and supporting the early step of our WCOGS, our community. We presented this mission statement as part of the first gathering of the community. So this proposed mission statement reads, WCOGS is the best practice community of national and regional geological survey organization that will connect leaders, generate synergy, and provide mutual support for the aim of promoting global dialogue on global issues at the national and international level. There are several well-functioning regional associations of geological survey organizations, and WCOGS is organized to use and not undermine this existing structure. We have worked with 5 regional associations, including ASGMI, to prototype WCOGS activities and its governance over the last year, as well as some individual geological surveys such as Geoscience Australia, the USGS, and the Geological Survey of New Zealand. In June 2020, we held the first WCOGS Leaders Forum webinar to discuss the impact of the post-COVID world, what it might look like for geological surveys. Little did we know that this crisis would still be with us at this time today. We discovered the concept of community of practice with keynote speakers from all continents, and we agreed to forge ahead with more such WCOGS seminars. Our recent book on the changing role of geological surveys shows a number of interesting projects that pertains to geological mapping that have occurred in the last decade, and the role of mapping as a foundational piece of knowledge to advance the national and international development. Some examples are shown here. In Canada, we did do a broad-scale regional framework mapping project that was undertaken in 2004, where we completed our mapping in the north at a broad scale. It's certainly not as detailed as what you might see in some more developed part of the world, but it gives us a broad sense of what's the geology of Arctic Canada. Oleg Petrov, Director General of the Russia Geological Survey, details in his paper extensive efforts on mapping in Russia by the Russia Federation, but also coordinating an international program in the Arctic that produced an atlas of geological maps of circumpolar Arctic at the 1 to 5 million scale. Koen Verbruggen, Director of the Geological Survey of Ireland, described how they have developed systematic offshore mapping to support fisheries and natural resource management. Similar papers have been presented by the Geological Survey of Norway, for example. Suzette Kimball, former director of the USGS, presented in the volume EarthMap, an integrated Earth system component that starts with a basic geology, but is supported and supports the advancement of knowledge through research and leads to modeling and integration to develop a new class of integrated products for the public and for decision makers. Another group of geological survey scientists, led by Harvey Thorleifson from the US and Hazen Russell from Canada, have convened a WCOGS workshop on 3D geological mapping and modeling on November 17 to 19, 2020. This event was a great success with some 1,450 registrants and with average attendance of over 700 people from more than 80 countries. The organizing group has deep roots in geological survey organization from around the world and has held many workshops and published proceedings volume from these workshops in 2010 and 2019, as you can see here. And I showed a link where you might find some more information about this event that's available on YouTube and through the American Geological Institute. From global Earth observation initiative and commercial popularization such as Google Earth, there is increasing commercial and societal pressure on geological survey organizations to respond at the science, application, and S&T communication level with digital geoscience available for integration with other geo-registered data and real-time data acquisition. There are numerous global initiatives. We can name a few. One, Geology, is at global level. Regionally, the Euro Geosurveys is working on the GeoEra program to develop a geological survey of Europe and includes some general map of Europe and many other products, in particular 3D geology. There is also the metallurgic map of Central America and Caribbean that is underway or just finalized, I believe, from ASGMI. And many national initiatives such as EarthCube that are responding to the world needs for geological cooperation and sharing best practice and standard on geological mapping and data exchange. Some are highly informatics and data-centric, others focus on numeric process-based environmental modeling, and of course, some of the challenging presentation of geological information. Geological surveys of the US, Canada, and Australia have united to improve critical mineral security. This collaboration on critical mineral has started just a few years ago and is focused on geochemical database of or mineralized rock samples, as well as conceptual models for basin-hosted mineral system, numerical methods for mineral potential mapping, and new prospectivity tools that have emerged from this work using artificial intelligence and leading geological concept of mineral development is really interesting, as I've been a subject of some recent papers. The Critical Minerals Forum is the latest series of WCOGS webinars. They were held in February 2021. Critical minerals is a hot topic for geological surveys around the world due to the current societal interest in secure supply of raw materials for clean energy and informatics, as well as defense system. If you have not watched these videos from the world communities of geological surveys on critical minerals, I really encourage you to do so. The speakers from Geological Survey Organization from around the world did a wonderful job at making the topics accessible, and overall, any geological survey leader will get the sense of what type of work is happening elsewhere in the world. Each series of talk was followed by a very insightful plenary session. And you see on the left the list of the session that were led by each of the Americas, Europe and Africa, as well as Asia and Oceania. WCOGS, the WCOGS Forum had many benefits. First, an increased mutual awareness of leading research on critical mineral by Geological Survey Organization. We came to realize that for those that are not familiar with geological surveys, that geological mapping is a common and foundational element to any type of national studies of critical mineral assets. at the national level. New collaboration at the ground level are likely to emerge. And there is a legacy of online learning and promotional material, as well as an increase, a policy awareness on the part of the participant of what's driving the need for mapping and geoscience. So in conclusion, I'd like to say that WCOGS is a global community of geological survey organization that's still in its early development stage. We've prototyped it, but we are far from finished in building some foundation for it. We will be supporting communication on the best science that is done by a geological survey organization and learn about general policies together. And we'll invite others to help us in this journey. The ASGMI is an important part of WCOGS, and we fully expect that you will come forward with some proposal for such webinars or sessions. So I'm very pleased today to be speaking with you and to invite you to participate in WCOGS. The systematic mapping is also recognized as a key function of geological survey organization, as you've seen in this presentation. And as we forge ahead, it's also recognized that 3D geological modeling or mapping is evolving into a more integrated way of supporting societal need. So we will continue with these WCOGS seminars. We have some early plans, perhaps making some plan to work with the IUGS, who's celebrating its 60th anniversary this year. We have also the 50th anniversary of the International Geoscience Program of UNESCO that is coming up. So these are all opportunities for working together. There is also the European Euro Geosurveys that will be celebrated its 50th anniversary this year. They are postponing their plan to have an important conference in early 2022, which we will be associated with. And we're in discussion on another conference that touches on earthquake risk reduction. So I thank you very, very much for listening to me today and for your invitation. And I wish you all a very pleasant continuation of this meeting. And I look forward to meeting with you again in person or over the web. Thank you very much.